9th, 1988, and we were talking about the Bella Coola country.
I had read a book just not very long before about so much of that. We spent quite a bit of our time down on the wharf place down just watching people, and because Bella Coola is some miles
Upstream. Yeah.
And there were a lot of lovely walks. You know how many hours of sunshine that's possible for them to have in there?
Not very much.
Not very much.
We live between those two mountains.
Oh, and they're just like that.
Yeah.
Florence's school.
It took Norwegian people to settle it. They're used to those long winters.
Yes, and they're used to forts.
Huh?
Used to forts.
Yeah, and they're used to darkness.
Yes.
Because in the north of Norway, it was dark
They'd have
till May.
Almost Arctic Circle.
Oh, half of the country's above it,
Is they?
I think.
Well, do they have the 30 months of dark? And
Oh yeah.
oh, they do, eh?
Yeah, they have a period of time when there's no sun. They don't see any sun for about 3 months.
Well, the settled cities are not up in that area, are they? Aren't they more in the south?
Yeah, the big ones.
Mhm.
But Trondheim and some of those, they're 10 or 15,000. Trondheim is about 200,000, I think.
Oh, for goodness
But
sake. Well, they'd have street lights in a city that big, so they wouldn't have to.
they don't turn them off. The Norwegians don't turn their lights off. They're running all hours of the day. They've got so much electricity they don't know what to do with it all. You know, every single big stream has a cascade that's under generating hydro.
Oh,
Electricity is so cheap they don't even turn their lights off, it seems like. But anyway, getting back to those Indians down in the Karamias area, did you ever get a chance to eat an Indian meal or
No.
be with the people for
No.
a ceremony or?
No, nothing like that. When we were little, we just saw them when they came in and into town. But they ran cattle and they worked for the ranchers and that kind of thing. They may have come off reserve. I was 12 when we left, and I was still 7. I was 8 during the summer. We came in March, so that there was an awful lot of things that I didn't take in when I was younger.
Well, they don't mean much to
No.
a young kid anyway. You don't
And
record
if
too
I
much.
heard the names of so many of them, oh yes, I knew them, or knew them to see them, and this kind of thing. And I believe that there were Mexicans, some. I think Lorenzettos were Mexican when they came up and lived. I mean, they'd been quite a while up in the valley. And Millie Steve had been a Lorenzetto.
And she's the one that just passed away.
She just died, and Mrs. Louise Shuley was a Lorenzetto.
Oh yeah.
And
they were Mexicans. Way back.
way back, yes.
I read about that guy. That was in that Sagas of the Salsa Milkweed, Saga of the Salsa Milkweed, and they did mention that Mexican. Seems to me something happened to the dad. The dad went back to Mexico and got shot or some stupid thing.
I don't know, but remember there was one boy who committed suicide. He was up here at the center. Everybody liked him, but he was from down the lower Smoking Valley, and he just sort of felt that there was no future for him.
I'll just.
Bella Coola itself was supposed to be the Indian school, and then the 10 miles up was, what's the name of that? Huntsville, is it?
Haggensburg.
Yes, that's it.
Haggensburg, yeah.
That's it. And that was supposed to be the white school. But they were so intermixed in both schools that it was a name only.
Yeah. I went into one school, you know. I went into the lower one. Must have been where your sister taught.
That was right in Bella Coola.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I went into that one. I saw the wood shop.
But she started the
Music?
music up there.
Yeah.
And 'cause
Didn't
she
you
was,
say that she thought Darren had a wonderful singing voice or something? Was that it?
I don't know, but she certainly said he was gifted.
Yeah.
But
So she taught in there quite a while.
she was there for about, I don't know, several years, that's sure. And liked it very much. And when she went in there first, she just thought the end of the world had come. She'd been
Maroon, huh?
yes, and she was out among the sticks and everything. And there she found there were painters and
Craftspeople?
yes, and authors. I can't remember the name of the man now, but she had one of his
Cliff
books.
Copus.
Copus, yes.
Yeah, he's the one that wrote the book, Bella Coola, that I just finished reading.
Well, I read it, and it was his trip in from her home. It was their honeymoon trip,
Mm-hmm.
and they went right from their wedding, right to horseback and took off. It's in Alberta, I think. And what a trip that was! And
Yeah, and the lady wasn't really a pioneer type.
oh no,
She was first time on a horse or something.
yes, and then when they've been going for some time, and she really had quite a time, but she was game.
Yeah.
And she met somebody, and he said, "You know that horse is far too big for your wife. I'm going to get you another horse." And got her another horse that she sat comfortably on, and was fine from then on.
Yeah.
But she had quite a time.
She probably had an old plow horse or something.
Well, no, it was just too big a horse.
Wide in the beam, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a large horse. And so anyhow, but the present Mrs. Copus was his second wife. The first one died after several years, but she helped write his book and
Did I tell you I corresponded with him?
and you may have, but I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
But she
I wrote to him, and then, I wrote to him, he wrote to me, I wrote back, and he died, and his son wrote back to me.
Mhm.
And then when I was in there, Mrs. Copus, I met her. And I was running around trying to get rid of these fish. I caught too many fish. I didn't realize that the limit wasn't the same there as it is here, see. So I had these cutthroat, beautiful things. Some guy told me to throw them away. I said, no, I said, these are too good. So it was a Friday, and I was running around with these fish, giving them. I gave some to the priest. I gave some to Mrs. Copus. I finally got rid of about 12 fish, too many that
Well,
I
that's
had.
why with my family, we didn't care for fish, and the boys both wanted to, especially Don was a born fisherman, and I said, well, you're not going to go fishing unless those fish are used.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't take him any more than a few hours to find out that Zelma and Jack would eat fish
Any way they could get 'em.
anywhere for a snack before they went to bed or breakfast or anything
Yeah,
else.
so
And
they
the
got the
idea-
fish, huh?
And he'd just get fish and give me a token sort of thing. Do you want these, Mom? And I'd say, no. So over the fence they went. Nobody in this, and even me when I was younger, I never went around the gates. I just went over the fence. And we had, from the time the children were little, George and Jack put in three poles, one in the fence, and one on our side, and one on their side. And my father made a heavy wooden thing with ring bolts in them. And all they had to do was put their ropes in, you see.
Oh, and they could use it for a kind of a,
So they each had a swing.
oh yeah.
So I just took a hold of one swing and swung up, and over I went.
Over the fence
I never went any other way for years.
and dropped on the other side.
Yeah. I guess I got the other swing rope, and down I went.
Yeah.
And I don't think Zelma ever did it, but then she was heavier, and then she broke her leg so badly, and she couldn't possibly do anything like that. But those fish just went over the fence, and that's when Don came back from overseas. I think some was up the hill up there. And his fish went right up there. And then Fred got so that he took fish up there too.
Yeah. I know, I've tried to give you fish. Zelma and Jack would take them, but you didn't want them.
No, well,
You like certain kind. You said little tiny brook trout.
I don't care for it all.
None at all. Oh,
If they're smoked, then they're all right.
yeah.
Once in a long time. No, I tell you, George was the fussiest person about fish bones you ever saw in your life. And the first trout that he was confronted with, he went this way
Oh no, and cut it up.
and then spent 2 hours picking out all of the bits of bones.
Yeah,
He was
sure.
absolutely terrified of fish bones.
Yeah.
Well, when the children were coming along, and any time people gave us fish, and George went fishing occasionally, and he fussed so about the children that by the time that I got the fish, I showed him how to get them out of to get them off the
Yeah, you use a fork and just sort of skid
yes,
them along,
and then
follow
lift the other out
natural
and such
line.
like. Oh, but he still looked at
Yeah.
every little morsel. I had to go through every fish for each child
Make sure.
and make sure about his too. Only this look hard to you? There's not a bone in that, is it? By the time I got to mine, they'd be stone cold. So, with not being fond of fish to start with, I got so that I hardly disliked
It was
the
a
small
real,
trout.
yeah,
And,
real chore.
oh, it certainly was. And because he didn't trust the kids to.
You know, my
to
mom
get
would
their
just
own
hand
bone.
us a loaf of bread. Here, chew on it for a while.
Yeah,
A slice of bread, it'll usually dislodge a bone. Down it'll go.
it will.
Oh, sure.
You couldn't have gotten George to believe that if you tried.
I've had so many fish bones stuck in my throat. Because we had a fish back there called jackfish. And if you think bones are bad in a trout, you ought to see a jackfish. They are terrible. They have bones going everywhere. They don't follow any pattern, it seems like. They're going every damn place. Of course they do follow a pattern, but I mean, you can't,
It's not
you
discernible.
swear you had it all clean. And then,
Well,
but I
anyway.
just learned,
But I like ocean fish, seawater
oh, do
fish.
you?
Yes.
Like cod and
Yeah.
salmon.
Salmon.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to a place now that I simply buy tinned salmon. That takes care of my fish.
Yeah.
I tried once. Somebody said that some of the fish that was in batter was nice.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. No, I think they're
I
terrible.
think that batter is the worst stuff. I don't know.
Greasy.
Well, it wasn't that so much. It didn't even taste as it was made out of edible materials.
Yeah.
It was awful.
No, I don't like those breaded fish. Breaded, they call it breaded fish.
Well, I don't know. I bought this because
I
somebody
know
had
what you mean.
particularly recommended them.
Yeah.
And I gave one half of them away. And so, anyhow, I just kind of got down to canned salmon. And I eat about once a month.
I get a craving for it once in a while. I think there's some minerals in it that you need.
Well, of course we do.
There's some in the salmon, and that's again that unconscious.
And they found that, they used to say, well, you shouldn't eat salmon very much because it's too fat. Well, they found that all fish, mostly anyway, all fish fats are the proper kind. And they're good for,
Oh yeah,
to eat.
yeah, they're much better than red meat fats for you.
Yes. But they didn't know that for so long. And
Well, I got another topic. Your little red car.
oh yes,
Some of the journeys you've taken in that little red car. When did you get it? 1968?
69.
69. And it's a Toyota.
Yeah.
And it is, I can testify, it's a lot of fun to drive. But you on that trip over to Penticton, you pointed out, oh, I was up there in that car. You told me guys Belcool. What has that little car meant to you?
Everything, I think.
Yeah.
I just felt as if, when I did learn to drive the car, I just felt as if I'd been let out of prison.
Yeah. You've been in the home for so long, huh?
Well, it wasn't that so much that I'd always wanted to drive.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the time when women didn't drive cars. They weren't able to understand the makings of them. Well, there's a lot of men don't either, I've discovered. And if there's anything wrong, they take it to a garage to somebody who knows what he's doing.
You've, what would you say your most awesome journey was? And what,
Oh,
you
going
know,
to Bellacoola.
was it? That
Yes.
was it brand new then?
No, it was after George died. You see, I got it the year before George died. This was after he died, so that see, this has all got to be basted, pinned first, basted next, and then basted to the paper.
With a sewing machine.
No, I'm putting it to the paper now.
Yeah,
I
but
just turned
when
it-
do you use the sewing machine?
You don't.
What?
I embroidery all those edges
Oh, man.
with fancy stitches.
Oh.
Then
Busy
pu-
fingers.
then pull out the basting threads and tear off the paper. Then you sew them. Then you press them and recut them to make them absolutely square or true. And then stitch them together.
Hmm.
Tear the paper off. You have a beautiful. You have a beautiful
Yeah.
thing when you're through.
I guess it would be beautiful.
Depending entirely on how much work you put into it. When I
Did
made,
you ever have to sleep overnight in that little red car because you got into a fix?
no,
No, you always made it out, huh?
uh-huh.
It runs pretty high off the ground, I noticed that.
Yes.
It's got a good clearance.
It's got very good
Unusual
clearance.
clearance for a small car.
I've been told that a number of times by garage men and such like. They've had unusual clearance, so. Oh, anyway, Gwen said, Mother, I think we've gone about long and far enough on this road. And I said, yeah, I think we have. And
You turn around, back up, huh?
turn around and, well, I didn't trust myself to back up too much. I didn't have too much. But I never really went into a place past where I thought I could get out of.
Did you ever get out and hoof it further?
No, I got all kinds of that with my husband's car.
You'd get out and hoof it, huh?
Yes. And he'd have to stay with the car because I had nowhere to bring help back to him.
And you'd have to walk out and get the help.
Yes, because I couldn't drive a car in those days.
Oh, boy. Sounds fishy to me. Sounds like he could have hoofed it out and you could have stayed there.
Well,
I mean, if you
Anyway.
just needed somebody to stay and watch the car,
anyway.
do you see what I mean?
Well, I know what you mean. Anyway, I may not have particularly liked being just by myself in the car. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know.
okay.
I don't remember particularly, but anyhow. Oh, I've walked miles, all
Yeah.
kinds of places.
Would you go on hunting expeditions and get into some?
Yes, we went
dangerous-
on a lot of roads. One time we went up on the Allenby Range and then over, went up to Copper Mountain. And we went in on that road at the foot of this side of the Wolf, this end of the Wolf Creek. And we went in and came through it on it was past Mrs. Johnson's, I think.
Hmm.
And we got stuck in there. And I always played the organ in church. And our
Oh, so you had to be back,
services were always at night.
yeah?
And I had to be back. Well, John more than once had to conduct the music with no organ.
Good fellow.
Yeah.
Oriel's out in the mountains again.
I don't know what he thought.
Were
of
you
it.
in on the building of this church?
Oh, yes. I belonged to the group that started it.
Oh, yeah, so.
I
When did they build this church? Was there a building there, or did you buy a
No,
vacant lot?
We bought a vacant lot.
Uh-huh.
Well, it was a family lived in a tent house there. Beautiful pine trees. And it's a lovely spot. And everything around Princeton was all clover in the early days.
Oh, you mean just like a bed of clover?
It was just clover everywhere. And
I wonder what, was that native clover, or is it?
I think so.
Gee, I'll bet that
It
was
was
pretty.
beautiful here. And beautiful trees.
Yeah, big trees.
Big trees and clover. And then when the dandelions came, and that was the finish of it.
I mean, there were no dandelions for a
Well,
long
there
time.
may have been very few.
Uh-huh.
And there used to be so many flowers that you don't get now. You know the Scotch harebell? Do you?
No.
Well, it's a very dainty bluebell. And grows about that high. And there used to be quite a few of them around here. Just like there were lady slippers all along the road going to Comont up there downtown. And
Those orchids, lady
Yeah.
slipper
the
orchids.
calypso ones.
Yeah.
But,
Oh boy. I haven't seen an orchid in this country, I don't think.
Oh, I can take you up to where there are orchids in the spring.
You can't?
Oh, sure.
Huh. I don't think I've ever seen one around here.
Haven't you?
Orchids usually are in wet country.
Well, this isn't too dry,
Oh.
but they like to be among trees. Unless the logging companies have gotten in there, but I can take you. Unless we miss them, I can take you in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
In June.
And they're called calypso?
Well, the little fairy slippers, calypso, yes.
And do you have any of the big ones?
We don't have any moccasins around here that I know of. Never seen
yeah.
moccasins.
Yeah, that's the one
We
I'm
used
used
to have the
to.
moccasins down at Carameas.
Oh, you did, yeah?
Oh, yes. In the brushy bottom there were yellow moccasins and a few white ones.
The yellow moccasin is the one I know.
Yes.
That's the one I grew up with.
And then up on the hills above, where Clarence used to log, he said, well, there are pink ones up there.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
And then the artist boys have found yellow and white and pink ones up the hills around Beachland.
Oh. Huh.
And,
Huh. Yeah, they're getting to be a rare species, I'll tell you, those older.
well, people have picked them, and
That's it?
then they tell you it's against the law to pick them. And then they'll let some logging company go in and blast acres and acres and acres and acres of them.
Mhm.
And you might as well have had them.
Yeah, you might as well, yeah.
But at any rate,
But when you pick the flower on those, I think it kills the plant.
well, I don't know, does or not. But Etta Ferguson, you know the Fergusons, don't you?
Mhm.
She says that it doesn't. She's picked them for years and years and brought them in big bunches, and she said you go right back in the same patches blooming, and she'd done it all her life.
Gee, my botany teacher, she would just, she was a wee little lady she wasn't about 4'10", just over 4 feet tall. And she was from Finland. And what a spirit. And all us great big guys, were in her botany class.
You put her in your pocket.
And we'd walk through the woods with her. Get off that plant, Mr. Senator. It was always Mr. Senator. Get off that plant, can't you see you're gonna ruin it, it'll never live. And I jump up in the air like a scalded cat and look down there, and sure enough I was standing on something. And I never saw that thing. And, did she put it in our heads. She really, don't pick those flowers,
Oh, I grew up with that idea too.
Yeah.
And but at any rate,
Oh, Dr. Lacroix, Olga Lacroix. What a person. So, and we were scared to death. Her final exams were notorious. It was Botany 52 taxonomy, where you had to diagram the plants, all the male and female parts, tell the floral number and everything. To this day, I can tell you what a ranunculus is, and that, buttercup. Anyway, and so she's got this test, and we knew it was going to be a doozy. But she was retiring. This was going to be her last year. And we were hoping. And for our final exam, we brought her a great big handbag purse. We bought it, all chipped in so much. and gave it to her in present before the exam, and she opened it up. She looked at that thing and she said, "This is so lovely, I can't believe it, you're the nicest class we ever had." And she said, "I think we'll have a party instead of the final exam." She gave us just a token exam, you know,
Well,
because she had to.
She'd know pretty well what,
Oh, she knew
what
our
you knew,
grades. Oh,
what you would
she knew
do.
us backwards. She was one of the smartest little ladies I ever knew. Anyway, she says, "I think we'll have a party. Let's have tea or something like that." So she gave us a token exam because she had to give. It was required.
Of course.
University
Yeah.
requirement. And skipped all that hard stuff. Oh, did I breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, son of a gun. She could have given me a C and I'd have been happy in the course. But she gave me a B, as I recall. Yeah.
But one of the things that Etta has always regretted, up toward where the dam is on Smelter Lake, you know where the dam is.
Yeah.
There were white orchids, white calypsos,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
really rare.
Oh, yeah.
And she showed her brother once. She thought he was all right, and he went and dug them all up to take them up where he lived.
Mm.
She said she never forgave him for it. And
That killed him, huh? Killed off.
well,
the-
but then there weren't any left
Yeah.
that she could find. And then
And they
of course,
probably didn't survive the transplant.
oh no, they didn't.
They're so specific, you can't believe to the soil. Oh, those things. I recall her telling us that too. The acidity of the soil has to be just so, and then, you know, you said your moisture and your shade.
And all these that grow in our area are on rotting wood, around rotting wood.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I brought a log of rotting wood, and mine bloomed for a couple of years.
In your yard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's hopeless trying to transplant orchids as far
But
as I know.
Gwen's have come every year.
She transplanted some? Huh. Over in Vernon?
Yeah,
From here?
yeah.
From this area?
I don't know if it's this area or not, or somewhere.
Huh. Yeah, I like orchids. Like the plants
There are
that most.
so many kinds of orchids.
The ones that I like are those insect-eating plants. I am fascinated by those insect-eating plants. Those sundews and those pitcher plants and
Yes.
Venus flytraps. And
And they've got
They're
to be in really acid soil, haven't they?
yeah, that's what the country I grew up in was northern Minnesota bogs, peat bogs. So it was acidy. So we'd see those things growing. And I'd open them up to see what they'd caught. It was just like a trap line. Then there's one in the water. There's one in the water. Do you know the pitcher plant that catches them in
I've never seen any of them, but I know pictures of it.
Yeah, okay, there's a basin there with water in it. And then the plant puts the enzymes into the water, and those enzymes eat the insects, and then they get the nitrogen and the phosphates, which they don't get out of their acid soil. They, in other words, like vitamin tablets. They gotta catch these insects in order to survive.
Yeah.
And they're ingenious. They're just the most ingenious little things. And then there's one in the water called bladderwort. And that is also, because the little guys are still alive. You stick it under the microscope and you can see all these little traps. They're little bladders. They look like,
I saw something about that on TV not very long ago, and I can't
it's
remember what it was.
interesting. It's interesting. And they got a little spring mechanism. What it is, it's a combination of things that intrigues me.
There
How
was-
they attract them, then how they capture them, then how they use them. And the mechanical adaptations are,
Yes.
the Venus flytrap, it's just like a mouse trap. You know, it's got them.
Venus flytrap in the
That TV show. Yeah. Cincinnati.
was he the black one, or
No, he was the
it's the disc jockey?
he was a disc jockey. Now he's playing on a show where he's teaching a high school class, 9th graders or so. Same guy. So how many of those quilts do you think you've made? Have you ever kept track?
Oh, I've made three of these. This is
Yeah.
the fourth one.
Yeah. That's for one of your daughters or you?
Well, it's for me, as near as I know. I've only got 3 daughters, and they've each got one.
Oh, okay.
But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 granddaughters.
Oh, don't start on
6,
them.
6. So well, there's no way I'm going to.
No, you can't start.
If they're
Their mothers will have to pass the quilts on to them.
well, but then their mothers have had more than one daughter. For instance, Artie's got 2, and I know who Gwen's because she's only one daughter.
Be like my dad and his brothers. They drew straws.
Well, why not?
What's a better way, huh?
Well, there are some. What on earth will I do with that? Well,
You got a little pocket. What are you going to put in that in the middle there? Or is there something in there
Well, I'll
already?
do a little bit of fancy embroidery, bright colored in there. On that. When the one I made for Gwen, there was a big piece of tan I put on the end of one of these things, and I drew a hill,
Oh, you drew a view.
and I put trees up here on
Mhm.
it, just the the straight line things, and I put a little red car partway down,
Oh, your little red car, yeah.
and I put puffs of.
Oh, yeah, the exhaust?
I put long lines like this, for lights, and some puffs.
Uh-huh.
And I told Gwen this was me passing her the picture. She says, no way. You can't tell the front from the back of that thing the way you've done it. She says, that's us starting up. That's going up. This here is the exhausted word.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So she says, no way are you.
Yeah, I'll bet she appreciated that, huh?
Oh, yes. But I did a lot of that kind of thing on my